welcome to the stage. Can you tell us a little bit about Solive? What do you do? Tell us about the training. Why do we need it?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing is that what's funny about buildings, and it has been said before, it's that everybody agrees that actually it needs to be retrofitted. It's one of the key points where everybody agrees now. But there is one major bottleneck today, which is the lack of skilled professionals to really handle the retrofit projects. And actually, 3 years ago, I was at the end of my own career transition journey, and I thought, yeah, well, what could be a solution to this problem? And I think a solution to this problem is actually to help people reskill to energy renovation jobs. And this is what we have built over the past 3 years. We deploy reskilling programs that provide job in energy retrofitting for people who have no background in construction. And yeah, basically, as you've said, we have trained over 600 people so far, and we are really growing activity rapidly, so very promising trainings.
So some would argue there's lots of builders and people who can, plumbers and electricians. Is it really that different that there's a skill gap when it comes to retrofitting in particular? Is a different skill set required? Is that where... Why is there such a is there a distinction, and is it that big?
Yeah, actually, think about it. If you talk about new construction, new buildings, you have a blank page. So you have really limited constraints about how you want to really design and build your building. When we talk about existing buildings, you have to adapt to something that has a structure, that has a history, because it has had probably extensions, previous renovations, etc. So you need to think a lot about the building you're discovering. And the second thing is, well, the energy part is much more difficult than the aesthetics part, because, yeah, also, if you think about it, it's heat transfers. It's really physics. So you really have to understand the physics behind heat transfers to be able to do really efficient renovation.
So it's different things. So are you saying it's a different skill set? So if you can install a boiler and you can install insulation, you don't have to think about those things on a brand new building?
Yeah, actually, well, let me give you this example. If you have, for example, installing a heat pump in a new building, first, plumbers, the people you're mentioning, today, what were their job? Either they work on new buildings and they were installing heat pumps on new buildings, which is very different, as I said, or they were just doing
like a
repairing,
service. Yeah,
repairing like gas boilers and things like that. So it's a very big gap for them, and we also provide actually upskilling modules for them. It's a big gap because installing, for example, heat pump or solar panels in an existing house, you need to think about where you're going to put your the raccord, you're going to how to branch your heat pump and everything. So it's very different, yeah.
And how long does this training take? So it's a different type of thinking. It's different. You know, it's not specifically sort of who you'd normally necessarily think of for doing these roles. So does this mean it's a few years of skilling up?
Well, today, in most existing solutions, it's a few years. So what we thought was, okay, if you want to help people, adults with works and families reskill, you cannot just give them like 2 years reskilling programs. So our promise was actually to do programs that are actually 2 to 3 times faster, 2 times cheaper, and that where you have much better skills upon graduation than existing solutions. So with us, if you get into a reskilling program, it's on average 3 months, super intensive 3 months actually. And you are sure to have a job at the end because we will match you with a company that has recruitment needs so that you're sure to have a job.
Why do you think we have a shortage in the first place? There's lots of people, we're building all of these new buildings, we're constantly changing them, it's a huge push at the moment. Why is this area, why do we have such a shortage in people with the right skill set for this particular change?
Actually, first, to give a bit of sense of how big is the shortage, it's, if you take only France, France Stratégie has published a report saying that there are over 600,000 open positions by 2030.
600,000?
Just in France, and it's millions across the world. So it's huge. It's the most massive skills shortage that we've been through in history. So, and basically why, especially in buildings, I think that because building has this image, construction has had this image of being really, it suffered from a very bad image. It's this image of jobs that are low paid, where you're going to be working with very hard physical conditions, and with not a lot of social recognition. And I think the problem we tackle today is really the fact that for years you have been thinking that office jobs, like jobs where you have to wear like white shirts and suits, are a better sign of success than jobs where you have coveralls and you work outside, but you have like concrete impact on people's lives. And I think it's a very big problem and something we really need to change, because it's the jobs that are actually needed for transition.
You mentioned pay, and we can argue, especially over recent years, we've had incredible inflation problems across the globe. People need to feed their families, and highly skilled people will look for jobs that feel as if they're naturally a good fit for that. I'll go for technology or finance or one of these jobs where I know that there's that income potential. What is the income potential in a retrofitting? So if you were thinking, I've been thinking about climate for a while, it feels like a good fit for me. What is the potential income stretch there? Is it big because we have such a big shortage, or is it about the same as going into a standard kind of role in this space?
Well, actually, there are, of course, very many jobs in energy renovation, so not all have the same income. But if I talk first about technical jobs, so technicians or people who are really going to work on the ground, to give you an example, like a heat pump installer, when he is graduated from La Solive, he's going to earn as a first salary around 2,000 euro per month in France, which is quite nice in France, net. And when he actually becomes more experienced, he's going to make 3,000 euros every month. For people who did not do 10 years of university studies, and you also have more like project managers and engineers and a lot of other works that are needed, where actually there is such a tension in terms of number of people skilled to do that, that actually the income are really rising. So I really invite those who are interested to actually look into that. And we provide actually grids of salaries to give people examples of how much they can make from these jobs.
So we've got a really big skill gap that you've mentioned, and as great as it is for individuals to sort of come in one by one to get themselves trained up, we've got big construction projects that need big impact. Do you work commercially? Do you work with some of these larger organizations as well? Can you come in and train their teams? I think we heard a little bit earlier about what you've been doing with Leroy Merlin. Okay, there we go. Let's not kick things over, Lovelda. Do you do that side of things as well in terms of corporate scalability?
Yeah, actually, we do two things in terms of companies we work with. First, we work with a lot of artisan companies in the building sector. You have mainly small companies. So we help these small companies recruit new technicians, and basically it's actually those companies that pay for the trainings of the people that we source and train for them.
So they don't even have to wait they don't have to go out to market. They can almost use you like a recruitment firm.
Absolutely. They use us like a recruitment firm. That's exactly that. Yeah, absolutely. And this is something they need because they don't have like a HR service that's going to do that for them. And they have little time and they need something that really works. We provide them with like a few talent and they choose one and then they can start the collaboration. And this is one thing. And the other thing is that we partner with great players, and you heard Marie from Leroy Merlin. We have a very big partnership with Leroy Merlin, and she explained a bit this ambitious program of training energy renovation experts in all their stores. And we also partner with industrial players. We partner, for example, with providers of insulation materials like Saint-Gobain, or we partner with heat pump manufacturers, solar panel manufacturers, because they also want their partner companies to grow, recruit more people so they can do more quality retrofit projects. And this helps us really scale the solution that we're developing.
So are you based purely in France? Because there'll be people maybe watching the replay of this, I don't know, sometime in the future. Hello, future folks. And they're thinking, oh, this is super exciting. I'd love to get involved. Can she come and help us? Is it possible for people outside of France to access the service as well?
Well, tomorrow, like the day after tomorrow, no. Today we are based in France. We have campuses, physical campuses, in Paris, Lyon, and Nantes. We're opening 8 new campuses in the years 25 and 26. But then our project, of course, is to expand internationally because we have the exact same problems that actually occur in the rest of Europe and in the US, for example. So we really think of making the solution as scalable as possible so that we could provide it abroad, because it remains very local employment. And this, I think it really needs to be understood. It's local employment, something that cannot be moved to other countries with lower salaries, and that cannot be replaced by ChatGPT either. So you need to have campuses and people trained locally.
ChatGPT can't fix this one?
For now, no. Probably when they make like robots coming to your house and fixing your insulation, probably, but not tomorrow.
Why do you think it's so important to upskill? Because your business model is very much let's upskill individuals rather than, you know, we could have colleges and universities where people just get trained, come out and go straight into the industry. Why is upskilling, do you think, is the route for us to make a shift faster?
I think it's jobs where the required skills are evolving very quickly. So basically you have new technologies coming like every 2 years in like solar panels, for example. You have things are moving really fast, which is a good thing. So it's not appropriate to have super long training programs where people will spend 2 years learning things that are obsolete when they graduate. So you need, I think, the model that we're going into, and generally for energy transition, is people going back to be trained every 2 years to learn what's moved, what's evolved, and what new skills they need to stay really relevant on the market.
And as it's upskilling, is there a particular type of person that's ripe for stepping into this sort of role? Is there a particular background or way of thinking where you kind of go, because there might be a few people thinking, I've got a friend who could do with a new job, who's been complaining about the role that they're in right now, and I'm just wondering whether or not they'd be a good fit.
Well, tell them to actually call us, because we have a test to actually validate or not that you're fit for entering energy retrofit. Because the answer to your question, I think, is there is no specific background. We don't require any knowledge about construction to come into our programs, but not everyone is fit for this job. And we're going to test whether the person has really understood what it means to go in this or that job, and if this person is really, if it's the right fit. So no specific background, but I think really the desire to do something with your hands, the desire to work with your brain too, because as I said, existing buildings, you need to think in terms, you need to be very astute and ingenious, and there are ways to test that, but you don't need to have a background in construction.
Do you need to have had a degree or something like that in order to reskill?
No, certainly not. No degrees, even for more like a project manager job or for a technical job. You don't need a degree, you need a mindset. It's very important.
And I think that's useful. I like that you say the barrier to entry in terms of you don't need to have been in construction and understood sustainability or had a few degrees in order to be able to get into this space, because it is a really, really big problem that we're facing. What is your bold prediction for the future of retrofitting as a career choice?
Well, I would say that retrofitting is the new sexy.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't know. No, this is really what we want to make. We want to make that happen. We want to change the image of buildings, and retrofitting is something that you're proud that your children are going to work in this area, because it's something that provides good jobs, well paid, and with a very, very tremendous impact on people's lives and on the planet. Like, who doesn't want that?
It feels to me similar to the transition that we had with technology. You know, when there was a point where you just couldn't find enough developers, and now, it sounds really bad if I say this, loads of people are developers, but this is like the new developer route, right? Where but it's got that extra sexy edge, because now you can get development jobs that aren't having a positive impact, that are having a positive impact on the planet, but some aren't. I don't know that you can get a retrofitting job that isn't having a positive impact on the planet, that isn't going to be a natural consequence of the work that you do.
Yeah, but I think it's a great horizon to make it as desirable as a developer's job. And it has something more. It's something that you can actually, you can find a job absolutely everywhere where there are buildings. So basically you could, I don't say you can work from home, probably not, but you can.
I mean, it would kind of defeat
you can work from people's
exercise.
Homes, which is already something nice.
You can work from a home. It's probably
from
not
a
yours.
home. Okay, yeah.
It's probably not yours. How do people find out more? Because this is, I mean, you've laid out the problem. We've got 600,000 job gap in France alone. So outside of France, you take those numbers, start doing the multiplication, it's huge. You've got the ability to bring individuals in to get direct training or to collaborate with organizations that are in the construction field and looking to find people who can fit those roles. Where do we find you?
We have a website because we are in the 21st century. So probably, go to our website. There's a lot of information there. And for those who have LinkedIn, I also am very active on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Fantastic. Any last words that you'd love to leave us with as we leave here and go back out into our day? If there was just like one little nugget of wisdom that you want to have resonating in the back of our mind as we leave.
I think this idea of millions of jobs that are needed for energy transition, and especially for retrofits, and it should be one of our key focus over the next few years. If people could remind that and make sure that they participate to change the image of these jobs, that would certainly help all of us.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Ariane, please give her a warm round of applause.